Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. So I wanted to do another reaction video. This one's by DapperDev. I did him a while back. He has some good content, so go check out his channel, subscribe to his channel. But this one's called Our Society Hates Strong Men. The double standards are proof. So let's get into this video.
Our society doesn't want strong men, and it's proven in the way that we structure the conversations between men and women on what's expected and why it's expected. We got two good clips to get into that reinforce exactly what I'm talking about. These are both from Psych Hacks. So I think he's going to be changing the channel name from Psych Hacks to Ryan Taraban, which is just his real name. Nonetheless, really good channel. I'm a fan of it. I will link both videos in the description, of course. Check them out. Subscribe. It's really good stuff. Let's get into this because I think this is very, very good stuff.
When the phrases a real man or man up are used in today's day and age, they are always, always, always accompanied by imperatives to act in ways that benefit women. I dare you to find an exception to this rule. My point here is that all men, especially young men, have to understand that their dominant culture has absolutely no interest in supporting them in becoming men in their own right. Read my lips. The dominant culture does not want mass.
This is very true because you see this. This is the the feminization of men that we've been going through for many years. You see this in commercials, you see it in YouTube videos, you see it on social media where women are essentially, they're demasculating men in some ways, calling it toxic masculinity or real men do this, real men do that, as if they, as if they themselves, know what it's like to be a man. And look, this is not going to be a misogynistic video. Excuse me. I'm not a misogynist, but this is simply pointing out that a lot of women today have become very masculine, and a lot of men today have become very feminized. And this is due. A part of it is due to feminism. This is due to feminism. Years of feminism, years of dogma, years of brainwashing by women. All right. Um, Telling women that men need to be more masculine, men don't need men, women don't need men, women don't need to be wives, they can have the career, they can have basically whatever they want. They don't need marriage, they don't need children, and they don't need to get married. So there's nothing exactly wrong with that, except for the fact that a lot of women in this day and age do want to get married. But the problem is they've been convinced that they don't otherwise. And a lot of women end up regretting this. So women are taking on masculine roles, right? Because they don't know who they should be. They don't know who they are, a lot of them, because they've been brainwashed by society to take on the masculine role, to work the career, to move up the career ladder, right? To act more masculine. And men have been taught to act more feminine, show your feelings more. It's okay to cry. Don't act too. It's okay to not act tough. It's okay to um act more feminine. You don't have to be ashamed essentially of becoming feminized, right? So it has a lot to do with society as a whole. Like society, for the men that don't want to go down this path, the men that don't want to go down this path, and just want to be men. They like the men that they just want to be men. They want to work out. They want to go to the gym. They want to lift weights. They want to be strong. They want to do the things that men want to do, right? That men like to do. Um, but a lot of these things, a lot of these male behaviors are being deemed as, quote unquote, toxic masculinity. And in turn, it's brainwashing men into really not knowing what it is to be a man. And I think it's kind of sad, and I think it's a big problem at the same time. So
Masculine men. It does not want men to be vigorous and powerful and prosperous and happy and abundant. And I'm going to explain why that is in a future episode.
He goes on a little further. This isn't the end of this video, but this to me was always clear. This to me was always clear, like even in school. I would personally get punished, and the other boys in the rooms would get punished for showing or displaying traditionally masculine or ambitious traits, to put it lightly. So you see it everywhere. You see it everywhere. He's definitely onto something with this. I've seen it since I was a kid. Why are they doing this? Your guess is as good as mine anyways, mister.
Well, they're doing it to emasculate men. They don't want strong, powerful men because strong, powerful men are it's harder to take down. It's harder to take down a civilization. It's harder to throw a civilization into total and utter, I guess you could say, total and utter complete collapse, right? It's harder to control a civilization of strong men, right, who have morals and values and who do traditionally masculine things. Like what we're seeing the downfall of society. We're seeing corrupt people in power get more power. We're seeing criminals get away with the things they're doing, and all these things that are happening, like right the for example the stabbing on the train with the Ukrainian girl, all these things that are happening, right? The crime rates going up, corruption going up, the economy taking a turn. We got here because of weak men. All these things that are happening in society, we got here because of weak men, because there's a lack of strong men. It's not. See, they want to use the word toxic masculinity in order to essentially degrade and beat down men and make it so we live in a society where there's essentially no strong men. And your guess is as good as mine. I'm guessing because the people in power want to stay in power, and in order to do that, they can't have strong-willed masculine men who would put a stop to things like corruption, who would have put a stop to things like the train stabbing of, I think it's Zarutska something, the Ukrainian girl. But because we're living in such a society where there's a lack of strong men, that these things continue to happen. No one's willing to stand up for anyone as men. We're not willing to stand up for what's right and stop this corruption that's happening. We all have a part to play in it, I think.
Ryan Teraband, carry on.
For the time being, however, it's important for men to understand that their value is not fundamentally predicated on what they can do for women. And if possible, to find other men who view masculinity as an inherently good and positive trait, as this will help to offset the pressures to conform to the dominant culture they might otherwise feel.
So one thing I will say before we jump into the next video, I think that the conversation gets muddy and the lines get blurry in the subjective description of masculinity, because you hear people throw around like toxic masculinity, but what is that even? Because that's subjective. We all can bicker about what that is. I think that unfortunately a lot of people see very normal, healthy masculine behavior and boundaries and expectations. And our society, like the dominant culture now that we have in the West, but specifically America, it goes after what I think is healthy masculinity. I see it all the time. I see guys, so much as even having standards for who you date. You are told you're controlling and abusive and insecure and weak and jealous. Like, no, dude, men need to have standards, especially men that care about themselves and respect themselves. They want, something healthy, something productive, something happy. Anyway, calm down, dude. Your blood pressure's getting high. Let him talk more. He goes into the actual double standards of the way we talk. And this is a great little short clip as well, because in that first video, he talked about, manning up, how that conversation is always structured. Be a man for the woman. Do what's best for the woman. Step up for the woman. Not saying I necessarily disagree with that, but it makes you think. Now he goes on to say things that you would never, or maybe not you, but most people in our society as a whole would never be okay with.
Greatest freedom and satisfaction. Waste a man's time.
Yes.
A real woman wouldn't waste a man's time. She would give him the type of relationship that provides him with the greatest freedom and satisfaction, irrespective of her own interests and desires. And a real woman certainly wouldn't put her friends or her finances or her career or herself ahead of her relationship. She needs to woman up and make sacrifices as appropriate. After all, happy spouse, happy house, right? A real woman is fit and feminine, so the man can abide in his masculine. For some reason, he just isn't able to do that unless she shows up in a certain way, and so it falls on her to do so. And she definitely needs to woman up and take responsibility for a man, both materially and emotionally. Otherwise, he is well within his rights to walk. Don't waste his time, ladies. Like, do any of these statements sound familiar? Like, of course not. We would never hear these coming from the dominant culture. And if and when they are voiced in corners of the internet, they are immediately denounced as sexist and misogynistic.
And they are. That's completely true. We're not allowed to have standards as men. Men don't say what men don't generally say what he's saying, but imagine if we did, right? The ones who even slightly mention it, seems like you see it all the time on like you said, on the internet. You hear about it in real life where men, all of a sudden, if a man has standards, it's just seen as a horrible thing, as a bad thing. But no, it's like we have to be all these things for a woman, and as soon as we want any standards as a man, all of a sudden it's deemed toxic masculinity. It just seems like toxic masculinity is just, at this point, it's a word being thrown out. It's a word being thrown out there anytime it's something that benefits a man and doesn't benefit the woman. That's what toxic masculinity seems like. It's like, oh, it's benefiting the man, it's not benefiting the woman. All right, well, it's toxic. I mean, that's to me what it feels like.
And how could that be? Like, as a social observer, I'm curious about how the same advice can be normalized when directed to one gender and villainized when directed to the other and not be sexist. It raises some questions, to say the least.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
So, real quick, he went on to ask a few questions about how that can be. Well, probably the same way the family courts are so twisted. The divorce courts in general are twisted. We have a big problem with that. And the funny thing is,
Which is why you see so many men not getting married anymore. It's completely in the favor of the woman. Whether the women on this channel like to hear it or not, it is. That's why men are not getting married, because there's no benefit in getting married. There's no point of sugarcoating things either, especially in the U.S. There's no benefit of getting married. There's no benefit. Why as a man would you get married? I can't think of one reason why you'd get married. You're entering into a government contract with somebody who hopefully you know well enough, because you're practically giving them a loaded gun and saying, hey, please don't ruin my life. Don't pull this trigger. I trust you not to pull this trigger. Please don't ruin. That's what you're doing when you get married in 2025. The courts are against men. And I know there's going to be a lot of women on this channel that said, well, that's sex or whatever. All right. I'm going to tell it like it is. The courts are against men. All right. I had an uncle that got divorced in 2008. My aunt pretty much got everything they owned. All right. She got the house. She got everything. She got pretty much all the assets. She got $1 million, or I think it was like $2 million in cash. She got cash prizes for divorcing my uncle. I don't know whether it was, supposedly it was a he said, she said kind of situation where they both accused each other of cheating, and their relationship was, had been going down the drain for years before that. I didn't know, since I was a kid. You know how when you're a kid, you don't really notice these things. But, my uncle had to move back into a tiny apartment. I remember it clear as day. It was in 2009. Had to move back into a tiny apartment. Had a not so good car. And my aunt got a really nice house, right? And he didn't really get much. He lived in an apartment for a while until he could get back on his feet. Now he's married. He remarried and he has a house. But marriage destroys men. And the sole reason why men even get married in the first place is to please the woman. I mean, why else do men get married if other than to please women? There's no reason, there's no benefit for a man to get married. It's why they put it off for so long. It's just they'd rather live with them. They'd rather live with their girlfriend, right? The most men do is they live with their girlfriend, right? And they try to put off marriage as long as possible because there's no benefit. Sorry, ladies on my channel, I got to tell you like it is. I'm always going to tell it like it is on this channel, but it's the truth. If you're in a relationship right now and you have a boyfriend who's putting off marriage, or you've asked him about marriage and he just kind of dodges the question, this is why.
Don't think what he said in that second video is controversial at all. What have I said a million times? Our problem, one of our biggest problems with dating, and I know I'm biased because I'm a man, this channel's for men, so calm down, ladies. Take your meds, and most of you are on them, so take them. Take an extra dose for this video. One of the biggest problems that we have, as far as like behaviorally, is that we literally, as a society, like women, their peers, and the media, and television, and music, and all of it, all of pop culture, they poke fun and belittle women that actually act the way he's talking in this short clip. If a woman acts traditional, self-respecting, respecting of her relationship, she acts like a good mother and a good partner, and she's made fun of. We reward, and men as well, we reward shitty behavior.
We really do. And it's, if, you know, at this point, it's pretty much undeniable. All a shitty behavior is rewarded. You see it in the media, you see it in real life. Good behavior is not rewarded anymore. Like, it's really not. Good deeds and good behaviors are not rewarded in this society.
We reward it. Most of the men that I see complaining on my videos, you guys are still rewarding it. You're still going out and tipping a female waitress way better than you'd ever tip a male waiter, no matter how good or bad they do. I'm all for tipping good if they deserve it, but I've seen girls that do a horrible job, and these guys, they tip really well because they're going to buy her love. Oh man, she's going to like me so much. Same thing with the OF shit. You guys talk all this big game about respecting yourself and stepping away from that. They're still getting a bazillion views. They're still getting a bazillion views and making all this money.
That's true. We have a part to play as well as guys, I think. Like, we, you know, sure, women bring up they do the OnlyFans things, and, you know, but we're the ones feeding this. Is the issue? Is we're the ones giving them money to these OnlyFans creators. Like, they don't care about you guys. They don't care about you. This is another reason why, you know, why men have become a lot weaker. And, you know, it's because society promotes things like OnlyFans, and, you know, these men go on OnlyFans and they throw money at these creators who don't care about them. Like Lil Tay recently, how much did she make? How much did Lil Tay make in like a day? Millions of dollars in a day when Lil Tay first opened up her OnlyFans at 18. We are part of the problem, whether we want to admit it or not. You have to admit it. Men are probably part of the problem because we're propping up these OnlyFans girls. A lot of us.
In fact, you want to talk about money? I'm going on a little tangent, but let me speak. Give me a little room to breathe. We were at the restaurant the other night, me and my bros, and this young girl, she's like 21 years old, 22 years old, pretty young girl. She was pissed off because of her tips. This girl was saying she usually makes $700 to $1,000 a night in tips.
Could you imagine? That's female privilege. I don't care what anybody says. That's female privilege right there. No man makes that much in a night. I don't make that much in a week. Okay?
And I hope she's exaggerating, but it didn't
let alone a night. Like, oh, good God.
Seem like she was. And I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. I mean, God bless her. I shouldn't be hating, but still, it makes me wonder why so many men get up in arms about all this stuff, but they're still behaving so poorly. I don't know if we can ever shift the discussion in our society. I don't know if like we can ever make it popular to act right. Like for women to act right. We can argue what that is. All I know is as of now, our society is still,
I guess, act more feminine, not act as masculine, have some sort of sense of morality. I'm guessing he's trying to say. I mean, I can get behind that. There's not really much sense of morality. There's not much. People don't really have morals anymore. Like they've pretty much gone out the window. Let's just be honest.
Still shaming men, attacking men, holding men extremely close to the fire when they don't behave and perform in a traditional, respecting masculine, manly way when it comes to being for the woman. But we do not hold women accountable at all. In fact, we encourage them to behave very poorly. We reward that. Just something to think about. I think it's a little bit weird. Maybe it's all just coincidental, but maybe there's something a little more nefarious at play. You guys tell me. I don't know. I'm just a dummy. I'm just a dummy that's thinking out loud, having some fun. You guys tell me. Anyways.
All right, guys, that was DapperDev. So, what do you think about this? Does our society hate strong men? Or is this just all BS? I mean, what do you guys think? I personally think, due to all the commercials, all the things you see on social media, the conversations you hear in real life, the fact that, so many things are called toxic masculinity as soon as they benefit the man, or as soon as any man, has, I guess, regular traditional male hobbies, fishing, sports, biking, weightlifting, all of a sudden it's deemed as toxic. It seems like this whole word that was invented, this toxic masculinity word, was just used to bring down men, in my honest opinion, and make men feel small. But what do you guys think? Leave a like if you like this video. Put a comment down below. This has been another one by DapperDev, guys. Real good channel. Go check him out. And until the next one, take care.